you should have this kind of diet. That's what the doctor prescribes, advice. And then the patient who has been suddenly all along he has been thinking that this conch is yellow, but suddenly the doctor points out that actually it's not yellow, it's not yellow. Actually it's not yellow. This is what the doctors point out. So, patient, still a patient, meaning jaundice is still there. Just because you have been to a doctor once doesn't cure your jaundice. So you still have the jaundice, you are still eating the medicines, but when you look at the conch, even though you still see it as yellow, behind your mind you know this is not yellow. Because, so your earlier way of thinking, approach to this has changed. It's changed. Even with just one information from the doctor saying that you are sick, that alone we think, I'm looking at the conch, I'm seeing it as yellow, but actually I'm seeing it through my disease. This is basically a very kind of rough sort of analogy for what they call sort of experiential perception. There is a process here. There is a process. It has been introduced to something else. So then the patient eats the medicines, go through all the dietary system, all of this, and then one day the patient sees the real color of the conch. This real color of the conch. Now this is a difficult one. The real color of the conch, of course, for the sake of communication we have to say it's white. But what you really need to know is that after the medicine, after the treatment, it's not as if the yellow conch has gone. Why? Because the yellow conch never existed. It was always, right from the beginning, it was an illusion. So it cannot really go. But in your experiential mind, you can think that it is yellow. As you eat more and more medicine, then you think that you are seeing less and less yellow and more white. But both lesser yellow, more white is actually an illusion. Because the white conch is in reference to the yellow conch only. The issue of yellow conch or not yellow conch doesn't exist before, in reality. So, on the ultimate level, the conch is neither yellow, therefore it cannot be it cannot be negation of yellow, I should say. It cannot be a negation of yellow. So it has always had its own color or whatever, its shape or form. And perception of that is called pure perception. Now this is quite an important, as I was saying, a very good way to categorize things, because you and I are looking at the world with a jaundice. You and I are looking at things, and we are seeing things, and everything what we see through disease. We are sick, basically. We are sick with emotions. We are sick with all kinds of things. Our patient, which is our master, Guru, points us, what you see is not what it is. Then, you hear this once. Of course, it doesn't change. You still see it. Beautiful things are still beautiful, delicious things are still delicious, but there has been an introduction, and you try, and you keep on practicing, and then the value system changes. This is what we call experiential vision. or experiential perception, because for the yogis and yoginis, they have the impure perception has been tainted. After diligent practice, I shouldn't say years, after diligent practice, one day, when there is no more of this impure perception, you will realize that impure perception has never gone. This is important. Nagarjuna says, Koro Pangda Jubai Nyangandeva Chunishe, Koro Mipani Nyangandeva Chunishe. He was praising to the Buddha. He said, Buddha, I pay homage to you who has said that there is no nirvana that requires abandoning the samsara. I pay homage to you who said the non-existence of the samsara is the nirvana. Okay. So-called life that we have is basically a continuous perception that all we have, nothing else. All we need to do is alter this perception. We need to look at it in a different angle. We are very sure that what we are seeing is definitely not what it is. Nangsurdam, natural in the Tibetan word. Nangsur means how it appears. Natural is how it is in reality. Yes, this is how it appears to each other. You look at me, I look at you, and this is how it appears. But this is not what it is. And this too, not falling to how it appears and really get acquainted with how it is what we call spiritual path. Even in our mundane world, we have the expression, what? Appearance is deceiving? Yes, all appearance is deceiving. We need to transcend that. Okay, so we will catch all the other points, but mainly, I think, the fourth point, 2 more days. So now we will again do a little bit of meditation. Okay, we should start now. So, maybe do some questions. There's a question about there's a question regarding, if you have attachment to this life, you are not a Dhamma practitioner, and then therefore, how about things like long life initiation and Maratika, the concept of visiting this Guru, which is a place called Maratika where Guru Padmasambhava attained the deathless body. Should we be wishing for that? Sort of immortal state and all that? In the Tantric, Tantra is so vast. If you think Buddhism, especially Mahayana Buddhism, is so vast, there's nothing compared to the Tantra. Tantra is very, very, very vast. Tantra is not just a ritual and all that. Tantra has its own world. Tantra is a whole civilization. Yes, in Tantric practices there are things like long life thrill, long life initiation, long life deities. But it's important that we know that Chime Pema June, like deathless, lotus born, this deathless is something to do with, again, the non-duality. When you actualize the non-duality, there's nobody dying, there's no death. You have gone beyond the time. And therefore, you have gone beyond the how shall I put it? You have gone beyond the unnecessary details such as birth and death and old age and sickness. These are details that manifest in the impure perception. But having said all this, as an effect of pendle again is a dependent arising. As a pendle the Tibetan usage of word pendle is sometimes is referred to something auspicious, which is kind of sweet, but fundamentally what it means is creating the right cause and conditions. So when you approach to the non-dual deathless, as you approach, there is also, in the Tantra they talk about the supreme attainment and the common attainment. As a common attainment, yes, you will also harvest the fruit of actually long life. Actually, living, actually, not really, actually living long, having lots of birthdays. Actually, this is very possible, and this is what can happen during things like long life abhishekas, longevity abhishekas, or long life kills. This is also what has been attained by Guru Padmakara and Princess Mandarava, and because they have achieved, actually even that achievement of deathless state was a kind of manifestation. But anyway, for the sake of the deluded beings like us, Maratika is where they have attained this, and therefore the follower of Padmasambhava lineage, or those who are devoted, those who have connection to Guru Sambhava, the fervent devotion, if you go to these places, again, with the right cause and condition, it can enhance our life and health. This is very possible. It's all because of dependent arising or the emptiness. So, if you can accept emptiness, everything is acceptable. That was a question somewhere hanging.
A few days ago, you gave an example to understand karma as a feather in the wind. And with all the other things that you have talked since about emotions or non-duality, how would you continue this story about the feather in the wind? And usually, the wind never comes along. There's always signs around, clouds that you can sort of perceive the direction. So this kind of acknowledgement of this signs, how does it come into play as well into this story?
It does, but if you are not expert in this, you will not notice it. Another thing for your main question, right now, since we are already living within the boundary of karma and emotion, the only way to get out of that is using karma and emotion as the path. You got it? That's the only way. This is the irony. See, you are having the nightmare. Right? The only way to sort of get out of that is finish the nightmare. So not really finish. That's not good. That's misleading. Somebody, I don't know, waking you up or something like that. But when you wake up, what you have dreamt does not exist before the dream or after the dream equally. As long as you are within the boundary of karma and emotion, you cannot sort of go out of this, get a tool, come back and fight the karma. You can't do that. So only way you can deal with this is using the karma and emotion. So what do? Instead of bad karma, we end up engaging in bad karma. We try to accumulate good karma. Instead of bad emotion, we try to sort of get into the good emotion, such as love and compassion, devotion, things like that. So, what does this do? At least it gives you a little bit of what do you call it? Leisure. This is what we call tanjal, the 18 different kinds of characters that makes the precious human body. It gives you chance, sense. It also develops a sense to really do the right thing. So, doing the right thing at the moment is something like a virtuous thing. And then as you get more and more smart, you will realize doing the right thing is actually to transcend both right and wrong. Okay.
Continuing with that, when we often hear the word mindfulness, I'm sure that the Tibetan meaning is far vaster than the English meaning. But can you also use the word honesty, not honesty in the sense of tell the truth, but honesty within yourself?
Yes, that's good. I think for a particular purpose, I think it's very good. Basically, it's admitting, honesty, accepting, all of that. It's okay. Probably not the best instructions or example, but basically it's this. Talking about mindfulness. Anger comes. Okay? Anger comes. And this is the problem. Anger is the problem. So there's a way to fight with this. One is seeing the fault of the anger. You think and how bad it is, how it creates problems, how it destroys the world, all of that anger. Yeah? That's one way. Another way, this I'm stealing from Japan Control of the Thai, by the way. I better say this thing. The other way is promoting the enemy of the anger, which is love and compassion. And we try to really think about love and compassion, talk about it, praise and read and, rub shoulder with people who have love and compassion, or whatever it takes, basically. So you have to, There's another one good way, really good way, but difficult for the beginners, which is when the anger comes, admitting it and really knowing it. That actually is the most economical, user-friendly,